Hey, what is going on, guys? Donovan here, and apologies for the bad lighting. If you guys are in Southern California, you know the weather is absolutely disgusting here right now. Anyways, behind me I have my 2016 Charger RT, and looking at it, you're like, wait a second, that doesn't look like the RT Intake. If you're new to the channel, basically I have a whole bunch of goodies on this car, including the 6.4 Intake. As you can see, I kind of had to butcher my old Intake to make it fit, and when I butchered it, it wasn't able to use the heat shield that originally came with it. So my first thought was, well, let's just cut it and make it fit for now, because I didn't want to buy another Intake. I ended up having to buy another Intake. Hindsight is 2020. I should have just sold my stock one and used the money to buy a new one anyways, because I had to pay for the new one anyways. But I decided I'll go with the Intake for the 6.4s that JLT recently came out with. So they came out with a newly designed Intake that includes this amazing heat shield box, basically. That functions way better than just a regular shield, because you can see it has these rubber, it has this like rubber gasket like material, not really gasket, I can't think of the word, but it mates down with this air duct that basically sucks in air from the outside of the vehicle. So I can't tell you what the horsepower gains are going to be, but I can tell you that it is going to help with heat soak significantly, because basically this air is just sucking in hot air from the motor. So the goal of this is to feed as much cold air to the engine as possible, and I really wouldn't be surprised if I did pick up some power compared to this setup that I have now. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this thing, and I'll show you guys some tips and pointers if I have any, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so basically, guys, I just want to point out, so pretty much the shield is just, you pretty much just set it in there. You kind of have to wiggle it around the coolant tank. That's, you know, pretty self-explanatory. I was assembling this. I put the little air intake temperature sensor in and kind of secured this coupler here. But I was just kind of handling this intake, and I just want to talk about how much bigger the new one is compared to the old one. I don't know how well it shows up on camera. Of course, the GoPro kind of distorts sizes and stuff, but I guess you're gonna have to kind of take my word here that the air intake size of the new thing is like, there we go, that's kind of a better comparison. It's like significantly larger on the new one. This thing's a freaking honker, so I'm sure that'll help somewhat. Maybe, I don't know, with just the sheer volume of air going in, but I don't know, we'll see. I'll put it in, and I want to show you guys how much space it takes up, because from photos online it looks like that filter almost takes up the entirety of this like heat shield space here. So we'll see. Yeah, so I got it in, and you can see the difference. It's pretty obvious here. This thing is huge. It pretty much fills up this like entire space here. In fact, this filter barely fits in this new heat shield, which is kind of weird. It touches in certain parts. Of course, there's a little bit of rubber that makes it so that it has a little play in it. Yeah, it's kind of huge. So I mean, I'm sure it'll make a difference. It's just kind of weird installing it. Thankfully, when I elongated these intake sensors, it reached here. If you have a 392, you won't have to elongate your intake sensor. I had to do it when I installed the 392 intake manifold, but if you have a stock 392 and you throw this intake on there, you don't have to do any of that wiring except for just plugging this sensor in. So as you can see, it's a big boy. It pretty much takes up the entire space. It even touches this rubber in some points, but I guess the point is to make it as close to being sealed as possible. Other than that, this install, you know, it isn't rocket science, so shouldn't really. I'll do another video on the like first impressions of the intake. I'm sure that it's not really going to be too much different than the other one I had, because I am familiar with the JLT brand. I do want to extend like a thank you to Vinny over at JLT Performance. There was, because of UPS, there was like a shipping nightmare with this intake, and he was working with me the whole time. He got parts shipped to me that I was missing, because I basically bought this thing in multiple parts, because at first I was like, I only need the heat shield, and then I was like, I need everything else too. And he thankfully worked with me, and he was very nice about it, even though I was probably being very annoying. So thank you to the guys over at JLT. Thing looks like it belongs in the car. It's definitely going to be better now that I have a heat shield. It's going to help with that heat soak and just keeping the car performing better longer. Yeah, as you can tell, the engine up front's pretty quiet, so that's probably because of the new lifters and stuff, so it sounds pretty good, but because of the cam and stuff, I can't really hear the intake, but you can kind of hear it sucking in air. So I'm gonna drive it around in a couple days. I'll give you guys a first impressions video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.